Hey team, this is Nathan from RunDreamAchieve.com. Today's topic I wanted to discuss the marathon mistakes to avoid, the things that you really need to stop doing so you can start getting the best results as a marathon runner. And I'm discussing the mistakes that I made over the years, so I want to ensure that you start getting what you're wanting, and that is new personal best. I want you all to start working smarter rather than harder. Get beyond thinking that higher mileage is going to guarantee you a faster marathon time, which most oftentimes athletes get great results off of much lower volume. And you have to learn that mistake. That's my first recommendation. Focus on quality over quantity. Yes, we hear it all the time, but it's another thing to actually follow through on this concept that we often hear from athletes, successful athletes as well as successful coaches. They focus on spending a higher percentage of your weekly volume training at, near, and far below goal race pace. And I was listening to a presentation by Dr. Joe Vigil last night, and he was talking about how Europeans see Americans, and how the best European runners view American middle to long distance runners, and not just Europeans, but he also mentioned the African countries, Ethiopia, Kenya. We do have a lot of definitely great American middle to long distance runners in this country. But he was talking about how in Ethiopia, Kenya, and other parts of Europe, they spend closer to around 40% of their weekly volume at paces that are much, much faster than goal race pace. So again, that's something you have to really focus on, that if you're running too many miles or kilometers too slow, you have to start adjust what you're doing, and so that you can start getting faster results. And for me personally, what I wasn't doing prior to running 2:19:35 was I was not running my long runs fast enough, and that's something I want you to be thinking about. Definitely start thinking about varying up the paces of your long runs and alternating a faster paced long run one week and followed the next weekend by a nice, easy, relaxed long run. So again, focus on recovery. If you want to be, in terms of marathon mistakes to avoid, get beyond what pace you're running on easy, relaxed recovery days. It's very important that you take time to back off on those days so that you can recover from the hard training you're doing. I've over the years, and I've made the mistake too, where I was running, I was focusing on what pace I was running on my easy days. As I got further along in my career and I became more mature in what I was doing, I relished those easy days, and I would literally just go out and jog on the recovery days because my hard sessions were so difficult. I would be out there training with, Olympians, Dan Brown, where we'd be doing repeat Ks on the track. An example of which was 8 1Ks that we did in Colorado Springs on Fort Carson at 6,000 feet, where we were hitting anywhere from 248 to 252 per K with a 60-second recovery in between each one. And then after that workout was done, Dan went on and did 2 1-mile repetitions, hitting 436 and 438 for those 2 1-mile reps after we did the 8 1Ks. So you do have to back off on the easy days, because you're not going to continue to push the body hard or be able to do that unless you allot the sufficient time to recover from the hard workouts you're doing. Again, have a long-term vision. This is another mistake I made, is I was thinking I was able to run under a 2:22 marathon, which for me was my lifetime goal. I wanted to run a USA Track and Field Olympic Trials B standard time. Back when I was a 2:43 marathoner, I knew breaking 2 hours and 22 minutes was possible, but I didn't know how long it was going to take in order to do that. And it took me 5 years of hard training. So have a plan in place, but don't rush the process. It's most oftentimes the goals that we set, there are a lot of athletes that quit too early when they were just a few races away or a few years away from achieving their goal. So don't get impatient as you're preparing for your races. Don't make the mistake of thinking you're going to be able to achieve your goal in a matter of months when more than likely it's going to take you several years to get to a point where you are running in that flow state where everything just comes together and where you're hitting the splits that you're wanting, and you run that time that even you yourself didn't believe that you had the capability of being able to do. For me personally, it was breaking 2 hours and 20 minutes. I ran 2:19:35, finishing as the top American, 4th place overall at the 2007 California International Marathon. And in that race, I was still on 5:11 mile pace through the 20-mile mark. We hit in 1 hour, 44 minutes, and 5 seconds. So I was running at paces that were much, much faster than even I thought I was really capable of. But it took from running from 1992, when I first started running, all the way to 2007 before I was able to run that type of effort. I started running marathons in 2002, running my debut in 2:43:36 for a charity. We started in last place, 32,189th place. I finished in 257th place. So Chase Manhattan Bank was donating $1 to every runner we passed. But it took from 2002 to 2007, an additional 5 years before I was able to run under 2 hours and 20 minutes. So you have to have that long-term vision. Have short-term goals, set short-term goals, but also think long-term, because what you're trying to do, more than likely, I know all of you have very high goals in mind. You're very driven individuals. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this channel. And so don't make that mistake of doubting yourself and second-guessing yourself when you don't see the results as quickly as you might like them to come about, okay? Because I made that same mistake as well. Stop comparing yourself to other athletes. This is another mistake. Don't focus on what other athletes do. You can look from afar and say, okay, this athlete, this guy or gal, ran under 4 hours, and I'm trying to break a 4-hour marathon, and admire that. But at the same time, you can't do anything outside of what you can control. So focus on your preparation, focus on your belief system, and focus on what you're saying to yourself, what you're listening to, what you're paying attention to. And make sure that what you're listening to and the people you're surrounded by are positive individuals, people that are going to take you to the next level, people that are going to get you out of your comfort zone so that you get the best results possible. The most successful people I've known over the years, they're focused on production. They're focused on being producers rather than consumers. Okay, these are athletes and business people that I've known that are focused on success. They're lifelong learners. They're individuals that are focused on things that they can control, not focused on the things they can't control. So that's a big mistake I made over the years. A lot of times I was comparing myself to other athletes and what they were doing. Stupid mistake, because you're wasting time. Again, it took me years to start focusing on what mattered most, and that was my own preparation. What was I doing in training, and what was I doing wrong in training that I had to correct? And I started studying what the best middle to long distance runners were doing, how they thought, how they set up their training, and that is what started helping me get the results I was going for. I started running at much faster than the goal paces I was going for. I did this when I was in high school. I was always wanting to break a 4-minute mile when I was in high school. I started off running the mile in 5:30 as a freshman in high school in 1992. Got my mile time down to 4:25, or my 1600 meter time, I should say, 4 laps on the track, and 4:25. In college, I moved it down to 4:22 for the full mile, 1609 meters. So it was always a goal of mine to break 4 minutes, even when I was in high school. So I was always practicing on running closer to, or even at times below, 4-minute mile pace. And that is what helped me get from 5:30 for 1600 meters as a freshman to 4:25 for 1600 meters as a senior. So have a long-term vision. Make sure whatever goal you're going for in terms of pacing, make sure you're practicing at that pace and often enough in training. If you're running too many of your miles or kilometers too slow in training, look at what you've done in the past and make sure you start increasing the percentage of the weekly volume you're doing at near and far below your goal race pace. Preferably anywhere from around 40 to 50% of your weekly volume should be spent at that particular effort. If you're spending 10% of your weekly volume at race pace or below race pace, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get the types of, to be able to sustain the types of efforts you're going for, because you simply are not training fast enough and often enough. So keep these things in mind. I hope this video is helpful for you. If you have any other questions, leave me a comment below. These are just a few mistakes that I made over the years. I definitely made more. So in the comment section below, let me know what are some of the mistakes that you've made in your own racing, and what you did in order to correct those mistakes. I'd love to hear from all of you in regards to that. So if you haven't yet hit subscribe or hit the bell icon and subscribe to the channel, definitely do so. So when I make a new video, you'll be notified of it. And I wish you all the very best and continued success in your training in 2022, as we're making this video here in late November of 2021. So I wish you all the best, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.